All right, so let's review the challenge. So, question number one, find word in capitals. So, we receive a sentence, whatever the sentence is about. So, we simply want to find the first word, the first one. Yeah, and this is telling you, giving you a really good hint about how to deal with the problem. So, we have to deal with the first word written in capitals, with all the characters in uppercase, yeah, essentially. All right, so we got the sentence, right? And we're going to find the word. So let's pass the argument name, sentence, and then return. So obviously, if we want to find the word, we need to do two things. First of all, get the words. So guys, how do we get a list of words out of a sentence? Split what? Empty string? Space, correct, everyone, space, yeah, because we want to get all the individual words. So if, for instance, we have a string with hello codedy world, that will return hello and then codedy and then world, yeah, something like that. All right, that's the first. And now find the word in capitals, find the first word in capitals. So the exercise is telling you that obviously you should just find, right? Because find will return the first result matching a condition. So let me call the argument word, because I hope you agree with me that what we got are essentially a list of individual words. And then we want to find the first word in capital. So how do we know if a word is written in uppercase or not? Well, we can do word equal word dot to uppercase. Yeah. Something like that. So that's pretty much it. However, will this exercise work completely or not? Why not, Ian? That's correct. We need to return in the last, guys, pay attention to the last use cases scenario. So in here, find word in capitals, no capital words here. So if there are no capitals, we should return an empty string. However, what does find returns whenever nothing matches the given condition? That's correct, Adam. It returns undefined. So we can solve the problem in different ways, obviously. So first of all, let me try to create a variable. Let word in capitals. Let's pay attention to the readability of the exercise, guys. Function find word in capitals. So if I create a variable called word in capitals, I know that eventually I will return it. Yeah. So I want to find word in capitals. If I found it, else just an empty string. Yeah. So if I found something here, you remember, guys, the Boolean algebra or operator, truthy or something returns truthy. So if I found it, then return it. Else, return an empty string. If you don't really like these expressions, you can always create a ternary, which is a bit silly in my opinion, but still valid. If I have word in capitals, return it. Else, return an empty string. You see? Or, of course, you can do an if else, right? If I got word in capitals, then return word in capitals, else return an empty string. Eh? That's the academical approach to the problem. Yeah? If I got something, return it, else return an empty string. Let's see if it works. Yeah, it works. We got the confetti. However, obviously, if I had to write that, I will simplify it as much as possible. Return word in capitals or empty string. So that's still valid, of course. And if you want, there is also a different way to do that. You can, if you create a variable and then you just want to return it when it exists, you can always type return that, and at the end, or empty string. You see, that's essentially the same thing. Yeah. And if we run it, then of course it works. So, any questions, guys? Hello? Any questions, guys? Cool. Thank you very much. Let me quickly check what you did. So here you go. This is question number 1. So Ian, first of all, once the code gets loaded, here you go. You see, so he's using the inline approach, split. Oh, what is the code? Sorry, guys, it's a bit slow. Yeah. So the only thing, Ian, here is, you know that I tend to recommend to break every array operation into a separate line for readability purposes. So personally, I will move the dot split into a new line and then dot find. I think that should help a bit to read the sequence of operations in your algorithm. So Adam, so he's creating a list of words, and then he's finding the first word in capital, and then you see he's using a ternary operator, which is absolutely fine. Panos, you see, we already talked about that approach as well. So I like the readability of Panos exercise because I think it's easy for me to understand what he did, right? So he created a variable called sentence, and then he creates a capital word variable, trying to find it, and eventually he will return it if he found it. If not, he will just return an empty string. Oh, Minji, he did pretty much the same thing. However, Minji, look at what she tried to do. I think she added some random tabs or spaces here, probably trying to align dot find with dot split, right, Minji? Something like that. Yeah, but that was very romantic. However, that's not really standard, right? Don't do that. Don't add 74 spaces just to no. Just move dot split here and dot find underneath. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then one more thing, Minji. One more thing. So if you create a variable, you see, you create a variable and then you just return it. Personally, I don't see the advantage of creating a variable to just return it. Why don't you type on line number 2, just return sentence dot split blah 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 blah. Does it make sense? Yeah. Okay, cool. And Ebrima, so he's someone else did that before as well. So he's first of all splitting the variable names, then he's creating a variable to find the word in capitals, and then he's using a ternary. So a couple of notes for Ebrima. First of all, semantics, Ebrima, split. What the hell split means? That tells me nothing about the algorithm. Yeah, so let's try to use a better naming conventions. Also, look at the typos. True captial. Yeah, you see. So that's probably not correctly spelled. And finally, remember that according to the Airbnb standards, we should use single quotes when working with JavaScript rather than double quotes. And of course, at the end, I think you got a bunch of empty spaces that we should definitely get rid of. All right, guys, that's very interesting. Look at Dan. So the problem with Dan is, or the main issue, or the most important one, is he forgot to split the sentence into a bunch of words. Yeah, sentence.find, that doesn't, I don't think that makes any sense because sentence is a string. So you cannot use find on strings. You need to use find with arrays. That's why we need, first of all, then to transform the sentence into a list of words. And then once we have the list of words, we can then find whatever we want. Does it make sense then? Cool. Thank you very much, guys. Any final thoughts about this problem? No? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And then question number 2. As I had to apologize here because in question number 2, once I open the challenge, I read the instructions and I found the instructions a bit confusing. So a couple of minutes or 3 minutes after enabling the challenge, I changed it a bit by adding more assertions just to clarify what the expectations were. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, I mean, Ian was very fast reaching that question, so he started playing with it before I submitted changes, so that was a bit messy. So sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. So what we got here, that question is a bit tricky. in terms of understanding what the hell is expected. So imagine that we are, we are trying to ask people whether they agree or not with the coronavirus lockdown measures by the government, whatever. So we send some questions to random people, and they reply in a handwritten form. Essentially, we want to know if they agree with something or not, yes or no. And what we realize is that because the form is handwritten, because of whatever reason, um, every 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 different person is actually answering something different. So, for instance, yes, capital Y, capital E, small s. Obviously, that means yes, that person agrees with the rules or with the guidelines, whatever. However, even though from a human point of view that's trivial to grasp, from a technical perspective we need to handle that. Yeah, so we want to normalize people answers into something that everybody understands. So what the idea is? The idea is if if the uh, if the person answer either yes as a string, true as a string, or one as a number, yeah, then for us we want to return one, meaning yeah, that person agrees with whatever. Yeah, any other answer, for instance, one as a string, which is not a number, it should be evaluated as a zero, which means the person doesn't agree, and we have to ignore the case. That means that, sorry guys, if the person answered yes with big characters, that's still okay. Yeah, that's the only thing. So yeah, once again, the question, is not trivial to grasp, uh, but uh, but yeah, I think that's clear enough. By the way, guys, part of the slowness of all these walkthroughs are because of the code editor we are using. So this is using the VS Code editor, which is extremely powerful, but it's very, very, very heavy. So FYI, we are replacing it. We are replacing it with another one, which is way more lightweight. It's called Prism.js. It's an open source project in case anyone is interested. So it may take a few days to get the changes introduced. Anyway, so answers. So the valid answers are, I think, yes, true, and one. Yeah, because of whatever reason. Let's try to ignore somehow the semantics of the exercise, which are probably a bit exotic. So if I got any of these answers, ignoring the case, I will return one. Yeah. Else, I will return zero. So dealing with strings is pretty simple. However, I got a number one, and that's a special case. Yeah, that's a special case because I cannot compare numbers that easily, or not in the same way I compare strings potentially. Because for instance, with strings, I want to transform to lowercase or to uppercase or whatever. It doesn't make sense to transform a number into uppercase. So my idea is, first of all, let me check the number. So if answer equal 1 or something, then that something means the answer is yes or true, then return 1, else return 0. So now, what is something? I want to check if the answer is yes or true. So there are multiple ways we can do that. Can we, for instance, use includes? Includes, guys. Look at how cool this is. Yes, true. Dot includes answer. See, something like that. If you struggle to read that, let me add some parentheses. You see, so if the answer is 1 as a number, or the answer is either yes or true, then return 1, else return 0. So what do you think? Will this work? Why not yet, Adam? That's brilliant. Look at the first answer. Yeah, you see, capital Y, capital E. So the exercise is telling you that you should ignore the case. But we can easily deal with that because that's the answer. So regardless of whether the answer is written in capital letters or not, now we can do something like that, right? To lowercase. And of course, you can then play a bit with the readability of the exercise, moving things around. Yeah? Even you can move the second condition to a new line, something like that. Yeah? So if the answer is 1, or, sorry guys, to lowercase is a method, right? So if the answer is 1, or the answer normalized to lowercase is either yes or true, then return 1, else return 0. Will this work? I don't know. Let's look. Yes, it does. That's confetti time. So, what do you think? Questions? Yeah, used to be the case, Panos. The answers used to be simpler than what you originally thought, right? Cool. Yeah. So, what's the question, Prima? Yeah. Yes. Here you go. Yeah. Here it is. So, what's the problem? I don't think so. Yeah. Look. So, yeah, what was the question, Prima? So why don't think so is evaluated as 0? Because it's not any of these potential valid answers. You can take whatever you want here. You can take here hello Ebrima. That will return 0 because it's not part of these valid answers. Yeah. Anything else, guys? Any questions? Cool. Thank you. So let me quickly go through your answers if I can find them. So what is that? Let me scroll down. Here we go. So, yeah. So, so I. That's interesting. So look. So Ian, I think he was very close to solve the problem. So true answer, yes, 1 or true. That's correct. And then he's checking. If the answer includes the word to lowercase. I think, Ian, the only issue here, that's correct. That's correct. You cannot transform a number to a string like that, unfortunately. Yeah, that's the only issue. I think, yeah. That's pretty much it. Yeah. But I mean, definitely you got the idea. So that was very close. And it didn't work for Adam because he wasn't he wasn't normalized the tokens to lowercase. Yeah. So he may work with some use cases scenarios, for instance, with capital Y, capital E, small s. What happens if we provide the word yes all written in lowercase? That was the only missing bit, apart from, again, checking the numbers separately. So for Panos, it wasn't completed. Oh, look at Minji's solution. Oh. Minji, can you explain that? So are you transforming the answer into a number? I don't get that, Minji. Mm-hmm. I see what you mean. Okay, well, fair enough. Yeah, it'll be complicated. But yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Thank you, Minji. And then yeah, so yeah, well, I think it doesn't. We can leave it here, guys, unless you want to add any thoughts about this. Cool. So question number 3. Unique keys. So once again, the question, I think personally, I find the exercise easier to solve if I ignore the instructions. Because the instructions are, I don't know, something we need to work a bit. You know, guys, that now many people has been, well, not many, but some people has been contributing to the Codery backlog of questions. So some questions need a bit of thinking. Yeah, I think that if you ignore the instructions, if you just pay attention to the technical side of the problem, it's not that complicated, guys. Look, you have an array of strings, or an array, not of a string, an array. You have an array of data, right? So the only thing you want to do is you want to transform one array of data into a string separated by double slashes, where each token has the content of the element. Hi, for instance, is the key for, and then we reverse the key. Yeah. So if the key is hi, then the reverse version is ih, right? So, can you give me a hint, guys? Which JavaScript method on arrays will you use to transform that array into that piece of data? Reverse. We will need reverse at some point. Yes, we're going to use reverse. I like that. Tell me, which other methods are we going to use here? Map. Brilliant. That's the key. That's absolutely the key. Map. Why map? Because look, guys, we have an array of words, or not words, ignore me, an array of whatever, and then we are going to display a string. So that means we'll need join at some point with the double slash. Yeah, and then we need to use map to transform hi into hi is the key for whatever. So let's have a look. That exercise is going to be probably easier than you thought. So return keys dot map. So I got the key, whatever the key is, and then I want to build the content. I'll see in a minute what to build, and then before I forget, I need to join the tokens. I need to join the tokens with, guys, let's be careful here. I think it's a space slash slash space. Yeah, that's probably the way we need to join the different tokens of the array. So now what we build here, we build key is the key for, and now that's the difficult part. Yeah, key is the key for. Is the key for. We need now to reverse, as someone said before, we need to reverse the key. So I don't, technically speaking, I could write my logic here, but remember, guys, that coding is about separating things, encapsulating code into functions. Yeah, JavaScript is about that. So look at what I'm gonna do. I'm going to create a new function, get reverse token, where I pass the key. So now it's up to us to create a function. And now the function, that's wrong, right? That's not necessarily a string, because that could be, based on the exercise, that could be a number, that could be even a boolean, that could be whatever. So let me call it token. Actually, from a semantics point of view, I think that's consistent. Get reverse token. So I receive a token. So I got token dot split. So first of all, I divide it into individual characters. Then, as someone suggested, reverse. And finally, I join it again. So if my token is hello, with a split, I do H, E, L, L, O. Yep. Then we reverse it and we join it again. That's the idea. However, this is not gonna work. There is something subtle. Can anybody see where the problem is? That's correct. That's correct. So that will work fine when dealing with strings. Why? Because if you got something like panos, I can do panos.split, right? And that works. However, can I do true.split? Or can I do 8.split? Look, no, you can't. You can't. So there are different ways to solve the problem. So one of them is using toString. See? So first of all, transform the token into a string, and then once it's a string, so what that means, if I got true, hopefully that will return true as a string, and that will simplify everything. So let's see if that works. All right, so I did something wrong. Let's pay attention. Hi is actually I typed the key. You see, that was a silly typo. Hi is the key. Hi is key. So I should remove the. So hi is key for whatever. Let's see if it works. You see, now I got confetti time. So I hope you agree with me. The exercise is not that complicated. To me, it's all about separating things into smaller functions because that helps a lot to understand what are the expectations. Questions? Yep. Yes. Yeah. So once again, these instructions, we need to rethink them. Definitely, we need to rethink them because it says convert them to unique values. So you receive an array of keys. Fine. Convert them to unique values, but they are unique already, right? So that's why I find that a bit confusing. Convert them to unique values, so they are unique already. Then create an object with these keys. All right, so we could have definitely created an object. I mean, we could make it more complicated by following these steps, right? Generally speaking, I tend to stick to these instructions, but if definitely I find them unnecessarily complicated, I mean, same thing applies to a job interview. Imagine that the exercise is asking you to solve a problem, following a bunch of steps. First do this, first do that, then apply this algorithm. It's absolutely fine to stick to the instructions. However, don't forget something, guys. So maybe they ask you to follow these steps because they didn't thought about a better or an easier way to deal with the problem. Yeah. So unless they tell you that they explicitly want to solve the problem that way, like, hey, look, we know that's not the most efficient way to solve the problem. However, we want to make sure that you know the way to solve it. Unless they tell you that, personally, I will try to solve the problem in the most efficient way. And to me, this way is more efficient than creating objects and stuff like that. Anything else? Yes, agree on that. Guys, sorry, there's a lot of noise in the background. Sorry about that. Right. Any notes? Any final thoughts about this algorithm? Cool. Thank you. Let's see if anybody managed to. That was question number 3, I think, right? So where is it? Yeah. So Ian actually solved it. Following, you see, so he did literally the same thing, right? I think everybody else has skipped it, if I'm right. Cool. So then let's have a look to question number 4, which was much easier. So on question number 4, let me scroll down to your code. Here you go. So on question number 4, I think we got an array of, we had an array of people, right? That was pretty simple. So we have an array of people, and we want to see if any person is eligible to get some, some money or some whatever, if anyone is eligible. So which array method would you use, Guy, to identify if anyone is eligible or not? Can you tell me? Fine, I like that. You see, easy, right? Fine. We just want to find, I agree on that, we just want to find if anybody is eligible, right? The first one, actually. If there is more than one, like Anna and Rupert, then we just find the first one because we have an array, so arrays are sorted. So the first one being eligible will get the trophy, will get the money. And there is something else at the bottom. What happens if no one is actually eligible? Then we need to display a message saying, "Hey, I'm sorry, blah 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 blah." Okay, so that's pretty simple actually. All right, so we need to write everything by ourselves. So function, what's the name of the function again? Find winner. So that receives a list of people, and then let's just try to let me create a variable called winner, for instance, which is people.find. So I want to find a person which is eligible, right? Person.isEligible equal true for now. Yeah, let's leave it like that for now. And now return if I got a winner, because if there is no winner, the value of winner will be undefined. So if I got a winner, display a message, else display a different message. So what's the first message? Congratulations, you win on 1,000 points. So congratulations, and then winner is an object, right, with a person. So winner dot name, you win 1,000 pounds, something like that. Congratulations, you win 1,000 pounds. Congratulations, you win 1,000 pounds. Correct. And finally, what happens if there is no winner at all? Well, we display different messages, but like we're going to spend the prize money on pizza. So, but like we're going to spend the prize money on pizza, something like that. We're going to spend the prize money on pizza. We're going to spend the prize money on pizza. Yeah, something like that. What do you think, guys? Will this work? Let's have a look. Yeah, it does work. It does work. Now, let's try to optimize it. Will it work, guys, if I remove the equal true? Yeah, we don't need it, right? We don't need it. Because person.isEligible, if it's true, it will be truthy. So find will capture it. If that's not true, it won't be captured by .find. So that's not necessary. Can we destructure person? How can we do that? Yeah. Eligible. And then what? Correct, you don't need a person anymore. Yeah. So Minji is right. So if we do it, even easier, I believe, right? And finally, can we destructure, because we just want the name, you see? Can I destructure the winner? What do you think? So Minji said yes. Guys, I want to get everyone's thoughts here. Okay, Minji, Rima. Who else? Dan. You need to add is eligible. All right. So. Wait. Let's wait, guys. Wait. Let me get everyone else's thoughts before you change your mind. Panos and Ian and Dan. Okay, so the answer is no, you cannot do that. And Panos and Dan? Okay, guys, it's fine to say I'm not sure, right? That's super healthy. And Dan, any thoughts? Okay, right. Yeah, so Dan, sorry, not Dan, Ian, and I think in the background I heard Minji and Ebrima actually pointing to the same problem. They are right. You cannot destructure the name. Look what happened if I evaluate it. It's okay. It's okay if we found the person. We don't really need to destructure the is eligible. That someone suggested. We don't need that because that's part of the find logic. But the destruction is just what do we keep after we find something. Yeah, so we don't need it. So it's fine when we find someone. However, look, on the last case, that's not correct. Why that's not correct? So what happened if find is unable to return anything? What does it return? Say it again. Sorry. Undefined. Correct. Undefined. Can we destructure undefined? No, that throws an error. That's why in this particular case, we cannot destructure the winner, or however we call it. We cannot destructure because in one particular use case scenario, it will be undefined. That's why we need to be a bit careful with the way we deal with it. Any questions, guys? Cool. That wasn't particularly complicated, I believe. So Ian, he did the same thing. And then who else? Adam. Yeah, the same thing. Same thing for Adam. I like. So something Adam did really well, and I like is, look, I call my variable winner. He called it first winner. So I prefer that wording, Adam. Why? Because you're right. We may have more than one winner, right? So I like that. That's a good thing. What else? Let me scroll down. Panos, yeah, I mean everyone did the same, pretty much the same thing, right? Yes, remember Panos, we don't need necessarily speaking the equal true. That's not necessarily in this case, because if contestant.isEligible is truthy, that's all we need, right? So we can simplify that a bit. And then who else? It didn't work for Minji. Yes. Yes. Exactly. You, yeah. So you broke it here because by typing .name, the winner is just the name of the, I don't know. That's, you don't need to filter. Anyway, I hope it's clear now, Minji, and if not, please let me know. Anyone else? And then, That's interesting. So I think the structure of the call down road is correct. However, can anyone tell me why that didn't work? Yeah, so there are two. Yeah, there are two problems. There are two problems here. The first one is, look, players.find, that's correct. Player is labeled, that's perfect. Yeah, so that piece of code, the lines 2 and the most of line 3 is correct. However, then look, .name, you broke it here already. Why you broke it here? Because on the third use case scenario, players.find will return undefined. So undefined.name, that's the same issue we deal with before with the structuring. Yeah, undefined.name, that will blow up. Yeah. And finally, player. Where is the variable player? We don't have any variable called player. So that's why even if that was correct, eventually player.name that's not gonna work. Where is the player variable? That's why you have to create a new variable, let player equals players.find blah blah blah, and then with a ternary or with if else, you check if the player exists, then display congratulations player.name, else display bad luck, whatever. Does it make sense then? Cool. Thank you, guys. So last question. Let's finish the challenge. Get camel case words. You see, it's somehow related to another question we solved before, right? We have a sentence, and we want to find the word or words. Guys, be careful here. The word or words that are written in camel case. So what's camel case? Camel case is a word where it contains some capital characters at any position apart from the first one. So, for instance, Formula 1, you see Formula 1 is written in camel case because there is a big O. Android is not considered camel case because Android starts with capital on the first position. Yeah, so the capital should be anywhere apart from the first index, let's say. So, guys, can you tell me which JavaScript array methods or which methods, yes, general methods you may use to deal with the problem? Filter. Why filter and not find this time, Ebrima? That's correct. You may keep more than one word, right? Look at the second assertion. On the second use case scenario, we got 2 words. So find won't work here. Find will keep the first one, MotoGP, but we want both MotoGP and Formula 1. So definitely we need filter. Tell me, guys, other methods that you may use here. Split, correct, because we want to separate the sentence into words to evaluate them individually. And what else? And join to complete the process, right? Join to bring the string back. Okay, that's pretty much it. I mean, yeah, pretty much you solve it, I believe. So we got the sentence, and then we return sentence, first of all, dot split, like that, empty string. Space, brilliant. Well done, guys. Don't forget, guys, that job interview, they may present you something like that and say, hey, why it doesn't work? Yeah, so you should pay attention to these little details. Yeah, we want to get an array of words, not an array of things. Guys, what will that return? So if I got hi, guys, what will split empty string return? Correct. That's brilliant. Adam. You could get H, then I, then as Adam said, well, you get the space as well. Yeah, that's not what we want. Yeah, we really want hi and then guys. Yeah, 2 separate elements. That's why we need the empty space. All right, so we got the split, and then after the split, I'm going to use filter as Ebrima suggested before, and then before I forget, I'm going to use join to bring a string back. I think join, comma, space to separate the words, I believe. So now filter. Can you tell me the argument name you will use on the filter? Word, perfect, in singular, yeah. So for each word, then I want to check if the word is written in camel case. So once again, I did that before in a previous exercise. I'm going to create a new method to check that. Yeah? I want to keep the main method as simple as possible. So my method is going to be called is camel case. Yeah? You see? I hope you agree with me that algorithm is quite readable. Sentence, split it into separate words, then filter the camel case ones, and then join them. So now all the responsibility is on the new method called is camel case that receives a word. And then how do we know if a word is written in camel case or not? You see, I'm narrowing the problem into a simpler one. So a word will be written in camel case if there is any capital letter on an index different than 0. That's the requirement from a human point of view. So in that case, I need to evaluate each individual character. So I'm going to use split, and this time I will use an empty string. So if I got guys, essentially, so if my word, let me add some inline notes here. So if my word is guys, split empty string, that will return G, U, Y, and S. So now I want to use find. And then what? Well, I want to find if there is a character equal to character dot to uppercase. Yeah, if there is a character written to uppercase, written in capitals, then that will return it. That will return, for instance, in this case, it will return undefined, right? But if I got, for instance, MotoGP, so the individual characters are M, O, T, O G P. So can you tell me what will this algorithm, this is camel case function return? That's correct. That's brilliant, Adam. That word on G. Is G evaluated as truthy or falsy? Truthy, correct. So it will be correctly filtered. What if I don't have any capital? If I got MotoGP, what will this algorithm return? Undefined. That's correct, Adam. Undefined. Is undefined going to be evaluated as truthy or falsy? Falsy, right? So then it won't be incorporated, won't be added to the subset of elements. And now my question is, will this work? Can you see, there is still one problem. Can you see what the problem is? Exactly. Panos is absolutely right. So, look, what happened if I got MotoGP with the first capital M? You see the problem, right? What will that algorithm return? M, big M. Is that what we want? No. So we need to check that, okay, that's fine. However, I want to control the index. I want to find it if the index is not the first one, if it's not the first character. So how can we check that? Well, pretty simple. Remember, find, same as filter and map and many others, receives a second argument, which is the index. Yeah. So I want to find if the character is uppercase and index is not 0. You see? If the index is 1, 2, 3, whatever, then fine. If the index is 0, then don't incorporate it. So if we evaluate it, that works. Questions? Car at 0. So you want to use. Okay, well, if it's in your answer. Okay, yeah, we'll check it in a minute. We'll check it in a minute, Panos. One more thing, guys. Can I remove the different to 0? Look at what I'm doing now. Can I do that? Yes. Why? Because if index is 1, is 1 truthy or falsy? Correct. And 0, truthy or falsy? Correct. So then you see you can leave it like that. Yeah? If the character is written in capitals and I got an index. So index is truthy, that means index is 1, 2, 3, whatever, anything apart from 0. So as you can see, that code still works. Any questions, guys, about this implementation? No? All right, cool. So then, just to wrap up this session, let me quickly go through your proposals. So, where are we? Let me scroll down. Yeah. So Ian, interesting. Look what he did. It's pretty similar. So the skeleton is the same, sentence, split, and then join. Filter is slightly different. So what he does is word split. So he get a list of characters, same thing I did. Slice 1, that's pretty interesting. Can anyone, apart from Ian, obviously tell me what this slice 1 is doing? Yeah, that's correct. So that's essentially removing the first, yeah, anything from index 0 to index 1. So that's the first character. Yeah. So why he does that? Because then he knows that as soon as he finds a capital character, that's valid. Yeah, because he's essentially ignoring the index 0 by removing it. Yeah. So it's definitely absolutely valid implementation. So I think the code is really good, Ian. My only suggestion is next time try to move, because that's pretty complex. Try to move it into a new function, as I did. I think that will help to understand your code personally. Yeah, but that was really good. So Adam, well, he tried to get all the not really following that alphabet, Adam. Do you want to comment anything about your approach, Adam? Okay, I mean, yeah, you okay. I mean, that's fine. You don't, guys. I mean, sometimes what you have is work in progress, and it doesn't even work to discuss it. So that's fine. I think Panos, he wanted to talk something about his snippet, so we'll definitely end up there in a second. Actually, here you go. Here's Panos. So look, Panos. The problem here about using character add. So you got the word, fine. And the thing is, character add, that will tell you the first character, which could be A, B, C, D, E, whatever. I think the main issue here, Panos, is you are negating it. What's the result of negate character number W, for instance? Yeah, but the thing is, even in that particular case, you are using find. Yeah, so that whatever. Okay, I'm using filter, so you are checking filter word. No, because I don't understand that. That doesn't make sense. So that will give you a character. That will be the first character. MotoGP. That will give you M for Manchester. And then you negate M. What's the result of negating a character? I don't even know. So yeah. I'm sure I get your point, Panos. I'm sure if you loop over the word and try to find the index of, I don't know, I'm sure there's a way to deal with the problem. But I'm sure as well that you will end up having a more complicated snippet, I believe. Cheers, mate. Ebrima. So, cool. I think Panos, that's actually probably related to what you're trying to do. So he's using filter, and then he's checking if words. So you see, my main issue here is, again, Ebrima, you definitely need to look after the semantics, because even though your algorithm is right, I think calling the variable words is extremely dangerous, because you're telling the reader you got a list of words here. That's not true. Words should be word in singular, yeah, because you're splitting using an empty space. So that's a single word. So if the word is different to the word in lowercase, because if it's the same, that means there are no capitals. Yeah, I get that. So if the word is different to the word in lowercase, and the word in the first index is not capital, right? So if the word has capitals, that's the first line, and the first one is not capital, the first character, then you consider it as a camel case. All right, yeah. Nothing to complain about that. Also, just one thing, guys. When you do character add, so I've seen some of you doing character add, right? So for instance, let message equals hello. Yeah. So obviously message.character add 0, that will return H. Yeah. That's fine. Don't forget, guys. Don't forget that because strings are iterable. You remember when we talked about for in versus for off. We can also do message of 0. That will also return H, like if it was an array. Yeah. So both syntax are obviously valid. It's up to you which one do you prefer. And then he did essentially the same thing we originally proposed. Yeah, splitting into a list of words, then filter word. You see, so I really like the semantics Dan is using, and then word split. So he gets a list of individual characters, and then he's just finding the character written in capitals. So I think that's very readable. It's very good, really well indented, Dan. So I think that's really good. As I told, as I mentioned with the Ian code. Next time, try to divide and conquer. Try to move this condition, because that's pretty complex already. Try to move it to a new function. That will help the reader to understand what you are trying to achieve. That's the only subtle concern from my side. Cool. And I think that's it, guys. So anything else? Any final notes about the review? Cool. Thank you very much, guys. So once again, I think you're doing really good on Coldflakes. You're doing really good on React, UI. JavaScript is gonna be your main challenge. So please take that into consideration. Keep training as much as possible, guys, because that's gonna be vital when facing a job interview. Apart from that, thank you very much for watching. Panos, we can stay on the line so we can talk about your workshop. Apart from that, thank you very much, guys. See you later.